Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are wrestling with something pretty fundamental, maybe the single most uncomfortable truth in leadership,
Yeah.
in management, team performance.
Yeah, it really gets under the skin, this one.
We're looking at sources that, well, they kind of push past all the usual excuses for why teams fail.
Right.
Forget blaming apathy or lack of motivation or, we don't have the right talent, that whole narrative.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Our sources today, they offer a really surgical diagnosis.
Hmm.
It's brutally honest, and frankly, it demands a huge shift in how leaders think about their role.
Okay.
The core idea, the really uncomfortable bit is this. If your team is struggling, right, if they seem exhausted, if they aren't taking initiative, the main problem isn't the people on the team.
It's not them.
No, the problem is the leader's operating system, the way the leader runs things.
Okay, let's unpack this straight away because I can just hear a leader listening right now thinking, hang on, I work 80 hours a week. I'm totally dedicated. I'm the one putting out all the fires.
Of course. And that's understandable.
But we're not talking about character here, are we? Or good intentions. This is about, the blueprint, the system design.
Precisely. The leader is the architect of how work gets done, the operational structure. And if that structure, that house, is shaky,
Mm-hmm.
well, the architect has to take responsibility, don't they? It really challenges that classic image,
All right.
the hero leader, the one who centralizes everything, thinks they're ensuring quality.
The indispensable one.
Yeah. But in reality, what they're designing is a structure that's completely dependent on them. Total dependency.
Okay.
So our mission today, really, is to dissect this argument. The argument that these leadership systems, often without meaning to, are just systematically draining three really vital things from teams:
We talk.
energy, autonomy, and purpose.
Energy, autonomy, purpose. Okay, so that's the core question we need to tackle for you today. How does a leader's basic belief system, often, like you said, well-meaning beliefs, how does that inadvertently set up what our sources are calling the chain of failure? This chain that just methodically grinds down a company's performance, its stability. It sounds like the ultimate self-sabotage.
It really does. And it's often masked, disguised as commitment or dedication.
Right. Okay, let's jump straight into the first section then, the core diagnosis.
So the first thing the sources say is, look, it's time for the uncomfortable truth. That's the message.
No sugarcoating.
None at all. They basically urge leaders, drop the excuses, stop the self-pity, and really take a hard look in the mirror.
Yeah.
If you think your team is apathetic, the problem isn't some lack of individual drive.
It's not them being lazy.
No, it's a design flaw. It's in your system, the way you've set things up.
I think this is where, most leaders might push back. It's tough to hear. We're kind of conditioned, aren't we, to believe our main job is to step in, to be the safety net.
The fixer.
Yeah, the fixer. When a problem comes up, the hero swoops in. So if we admit the system's broken, then we have to admit that maybe our own efforts, all those long hours, they might actually be making things worse.
Or at least sustaining the breakdown, yes. That's the tough pill to swallow.
Wow.
The leader is identified, essentially, as the architect of a structure that needs them to survive. Think about that distinction for a second.
Okay.
A well-designed house, it stands up by itself, right? Strong foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But a poorly designed one. Well, maybe the architect has to be there 24/7, physically holding up a wall that's about to collapse.
Right. Constantly propping it up.
Exactly. So if your company, your team, only functions when you are personally jumping into every decision, every crisis, you haven't actually built a strong system. You've built a personal liability.
Ooh.
And it's completely tied to your own bandwidth, your energy, even your mood on a given day.
And that leads straight into this core paradox you mentioned. You can be the most dedicated person there, right?
Right.
Working insane hours, genuinely believing you're doing what's best for the company.
Totally committed.
And yet you are the very person who is actively exhausting your team, burning them out.
You're inadvertently making things harder for everyone, even while you feel like you're the indispensable one holding it all together.
Yeah.
There's a really crucial quote, a diagnosis from our sources, that just sums this up perfectly. It's, you don't have apathetic people. You have people exhausted by your system.
Say that again. You don't have apathetic people.
You have people exhausted by your system.
Okay. That hits hard.
Mhm.
Because apathy implies they just don't care.
Right. Disengaged. Given up.
But exhaustion means they did care. They tried.
They absolutely tried. And the system, the one designed by the leader, just systematically made it impossible or maybe irrelevant for them to succeed on their own.
Their energy just got drained, trying to
Oh,
fight the structure.
exactly. Fighting friction that shouldn't even be there.
That distinction is so important. Okay, so let's break down the mechanism. How does this actually happen? How does a leader's internal stuff, their beliefs, translate into, well, systemic destruction?
Yeah, it follows a pretty clear pathway, a chain reaction. Really, it starts inside the leader's head. First, the leader's core beliefs. These shape their behaviors. So, for instance, if a leader fundamentally believes deep down, only I know what perfection looks like, or mistakes are unacceptable,
Then how do they act?
well, they'll behave accordingly. They'll centralize every important decision. They'll micromanage. They'll maybe punish errors harshly.
Right? The belief drives the action. Makes sense.
And those behaviors, it doesn't matter if they're well-intentioned, they have a real concrete impact on how work flows or doesn't flow.
Okay, and that impact is?
They create muda, M-U-D-A. It's a
Yeah.
Japanese term, super valuable concept from lean thinking.
Muda. Okay, what does that mean?
It's usually translated as waste or desperdicio
Okay.
in Spanish, but it's more specific than just trash. Buddha is anything at all that eats up time, resources, or energy
Uh-huh.
without actually adding any value that the customer or the end user would care about.
Okay, look what? Give me some examples of muda.
Oh, loads. Waiting for an approval, that's huge.
Yeah.
Unnecessary paperwork or reports, reworking things because instructions weren't clear the first time, hiding mistakes so you don't get yelled at.
Okay, yeah. The friction, the grit in the gears.
That's a great way to put it. It's all the friction in the machine. So if the leader is hoarding all the decisions,
The muda is the team sitting around waiting.
exactly, waiting time, or if the leader punishes every little error,
The muda is the time spent hiding the mistake, maybe doing things twice to cover it up, not learning from it.
precisely. And this isn't just inefficient. This systemic friction, this muda, it has this massive psychological impact.
Oh, so?
This constant waste, this friction, it just destroys the team's emotional salary. That's another key term here, salario emotional.
Emotional salary. Okay, not the paycheck.
No, not the money.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that really keeps people engaged, motivated, wanting to contribute. Feeling like you have some control over your work autonomy.
Right.
Feeling safe enough to speak up or take a risk, psychological safety.
Mm.
Feeling like your work actually matters purpose. And feeling like you can actually switch off and have a work-life balance.
Those four things. Autonomy, safety, purpose, balance.
Yeah. And when the system, the leader's system, forces you into, say, pointless waiting, or makes it impossible to do meaningful work, or punishes you for trying something new, that emotional salary just gets drained away, systematically liquidated.
Wow. Okay. What's really interesting here is how this reframes the whole idea of failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the company is broken because the staff are bad or the strategy's wrong necessarily.
Right.
It's just mal-designed, poorly
Well,
designed.
That's the core insight. It shifts the focus completely. Stop trying to fix the people with, mandatory motivational posters or firing the supposed low performers.
Yeah, the symptom treatment.
Exactly. And instead get to the root cause,
Mm.
the actual structure of how work happens and the leader's beliefs that created that structure in the first place.
Like if a bridge keeps collapsing.
You don't blame the cars trying to cross it?
Right. You don't need better drivers. You need an architect to redesign the bridge's structure.
That's it. You need an architect, not a, quick fix pep talk.
Okay, now this is where I think it gets really practical, really detailed.
Yeah, this is the diagnostic toolkit.
Our sources actually map out exactly how this systemic breakdown happens. They call it the cadena causal del fracaso.
The causal chain of failure.
Right. And it shows these four, distinct, predictable ways that a leader's need to be the hero.
Yeah.
It just generates waste and tanks the organization's health.
Yeah, we need to walk through these four chains carefully because they're incredibly revealing.
Okay.
Each one follows the same pattern. It starts with a specific leader belief.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see the behavior that comes from that belief. Then we identify the specific type of waste, the muda, that behavior creates.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see which pillar of that emotional salary gets destroyed, autonomy, safety, balance, or purpose.
Got it.
And finally, we see the result, the negative vital sign in the organization, the symptom you can actually observe.
So if you see the symptom, the vital sign,
You can trace it right back up the chain to the leader's underlying belief. It's powerful stuff.
okay, let's do it. Chain 1, centralization versus autonomy. This feels like the classic, maybe well-meaning but ultimately frustrating micromanager. the hero leader.
Exactly. This is the leader whose core leader belief, maybe subconsciously, is pure ego,
Hmm.
but it's often disguised as responsibility. It's, I'm the only one who really has the solution, or only I can guarantee quality.
Right. If you want something done right.
Through yourself, or at least oversee every single step. So their hero behavior is obvious.
Mm.
They centralize everything. They have to make all the key decisions, maybe even minor ones, like, the exact wording on a client email. They become the bottleneck.
And like you said before, they probably feel they have to do this. If they let go, quality will plummet, right? That's the fear.
That's the justification. But what's the impact on the team? What do they start to believe?
Well, I imagine it's pretty demoralizing.
It crystallizes into a really damaging, keen belief. Look, it's just not worth proposing anything. Hesha always has the final say anyway. Why bother?
Yeah, why spend hours crafting a proposal if the boss is just going to rewrite it in 5 minutes based on their gut feeling?
Precisely. So the team learns.
Mm-hmm.
Suggesting things, taking initiative, it's just wasted energy. Better to just wait to be told what to do.
So the systemic waste created here, it's the waiting, isn't it? Waiting for instructions, waiting for approval.
Yes, primarily the waste of waiting, but also, critically, the waste of unused human potential.
Yeah.
All that brain power on the team just sitting idle.
Can you give a concrete example?
Sure. Let's say a team needs to get a major client proposal out. They draft it, maybe it's brilliant. But it sits in the leader's inbox for 2 days because the leader is swamped, putting out other fires they've probably created.
Okay.
Finally, the hero leader reviews it, changes maybe 2 cosmetic things, and sends it back.
Yeah.
But now it's 2 days late going to the client. The wasteful action, muda there, is that 48 hours of pure delay, plus all the intellectual energy the team wasted. Just waiting. They could have been working on the next thing.
And the pillar of emotional salary that gets crushed.
Autonomy. Completely eroded. The team feels like cogs, not contributors.
And the organizational vital sign. What do you see on the surface?
Stagnation. Things move incredibly slowly. And you see dangerously low initiative. People stop volunteering ideas. The system, which was supposedly designed by the leader to guarantee quality, actually guarantees paralysis.
Wow. The leaders need to feel essential makes the team slow and, frankly, irrelevant.
That's the uncomfortable truth of chain 1.
Okay. Heavy stuff. Let's move to chain 2. This one deals with mistakes, right? Punishment versus psychological safety.
Yeah, this is the domain of the Punisher leader.
The Punisher, okay.
The core leader belief, the Punisher here, is driven by, often, fear. Fear of failure, fear of losing control. So the belief is, when something goes wrong, I need to find the culprit. Accountability is the stated goal.
Find who's to blame.
Exactly. So their hero behavior, thinking they're enforcing standards, is actually to punish error. And this punishment can take many forms. It could be public humiliation in a meeting, or being suddenly yanked off a project, or maybe just a really harsh blaming reaction when someone admits a mistake.
And the team learns very quickly
that survival means hiding the truth. Self-preservation becomes the prime directive.
So the team belief becomes...
It's a protective shield. If I tell the truth about this mistake, if I admit I messed up, I'm going to get hurt. Simple as that.
Okay, let's use an example again. Maybe software development.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Imagine a junior developer finds a pretty serious bug in the code, like 2 days before a major product launch.
High stakes.
Very. Now, if the leader is a Punisher type, what's that developer likely to do?
Probably try to fix it themselves, quietly, or maybe downplay how serious it is, hope nobody notices.
Exactly. They'll spend those crucial 48 hours trying to patch it secretly or just making it look less bad instead of immediately raising the red flag so the whole team can swarm the problem.
And the muda generated there. The waste.
It's insidious. The source calls it defects are repeated because they are hidden.
Because the root cause never gets fixed.
Precisely. You lose the chance for the organization to actually learn. In that software example, maybe if the developer had raised the alarm, the team would have discovered the bug wasn't even the developer's fault. Maybe it was a flaw in the testing process itself.
A systemic issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
A structural problem they could fix so it never happens again. But by hiding the mistake, the organization is blind. It can't learn. The structural flaw remains, waiting to cause the same problem next time.
And the team spends energy not fixing problems, but...
managing appearances.
Yeah.
Generating reports that hide errors instead of exposing them, covering their backsides. It's incredibly wasteful.
This sounds like it just kills any kind of organizational learning. Yeah. And forget about taking risks.
Absolutely. It's a death blow. The pillar affected is obviously psychological safety. It evaporates.
And the vital sign. What's the outcome you see?
The source calls it innovation, congelata frozen innovation.
Frozen innovation. Makes
So
sense.
you simply cannot experiment. You can't try new things, difficult things, ambitious things, if the price of failure is personal attack or career damage. So the organization just gets stuck, plays it safe, low risk, low reward. Mediocrity becomes the norm.
Okay, that's a really clear link. Lack of safety leads to lack of innovation. That sets up the next chain nicely, actually.
Hmm.
These first two chains, they paralyze the team's thinking, their willingness to try. Chain 3 is about misplaced effort, right?
Yeah.
Rewarding fatigue versus efficiency.
Ah, yes, the martyr leader. This one is particularly tricky because it often looks virtuous on the surface.
How so?
The leader belief, the martyr is, the person who stays late, the one working weekends, that person shows real commitment. They equate visible effort, time spent in the office, with actual value delivered.
They confuse presence with productivity.
Perfectly put, they completely ignore efficiency, smart work, actual output. So their hero behavior is that they reward overexertion. The source uses the term premia, el desgaste, rewarding wear and tear, burnout.
They celebrate the person who sends emails at 2 a.m.
Exactly. Or the one who talks about having no life outside of work. That person gets praised, maybe even promoted.
Oh, I've seen this so many times in so many workplaces. This culture of performative busyness. Like you have to look stressed to be taken seriously.
It's incredibly common.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the team learn from watching this? What belief takes root?
Well, they learn that looking busy is more important than being effective.
Precisely. The team belief becomes, around here, it's the visible tiredness that gets rewarded, not actually getting things done efficiently. They figure out that finishing a task quickly might even be penalized
How so?
because it might suggest you weren't trying hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or worse, that you have spare capacity so they can just pile more work on you.
Ah, right. So the smart strategy, paradoxically, is to look like you're struggling, even if you're not. Stay late, sigh loudly.
Make sure everyone sees you're working hard late into the evening. That becomes the path to recognition.
Okay, let's talk muda. The waste here is called sobre esfuerzo. Over-effort. What does that look like in practice?
Overeffort is basically energy spent that doesn't create value. It's things like deliberately making simple tasks look more complicated than they are.
Padding hours.
Padding hours, exactly. Or engaging in purely performative actions, like coming in super early just so the boss sees you, scheduling pointless meetings late in the day.
Responding to non-urgent emails at 11 p.m. just to show you're on.
Yes, all that stuff. It's effort spent managing perceptions, proving loyalty through exhaustion, rather than actually generating useful output.
And the pillar of emotional salary this destroys has to be work-life balance.
Completely obliterated. The system essentially forces people to sacrifice their personal lives, their health, just to prove they're committed players.
And the organizational vital sign,
The result.
endemic burnout. And alongside it, deep, corrosive cynicism. People just stop believing that the company actually values smart work or their well-being. And that cynicism, it poisons everything, doesn't it? Makes future change initiatives feel like a joke.
Totally. It's like, oh, great, another management fad while we're all burning out.
Mhm.
It creates massive resistance.
Okay. Burnout and cynicism. Grim. That brings us to the final chain, chain 4. Blame versus purpose and sense. You called this the final nail in the coffin earlier.
Yeah, I think it is. Because this is where the leader completely absolves themselves of any responsibility. This is the accuser leader.
The accuser. Okay.
Their fundamental leader belief is the ultimate deflection. The problem isn't my system. It's never my design. The problem is the attitude of my people.
They externalize everything.
Completely. They've built shields around their own design flaws. So their hero behavior, when things inevitably go wrong because of the system they created, is to blame the team and just demand more effort, work harder, be more committed.
But wait, if the first 3 chains have already stripped the team of their autonomy, their safety, their balance, what's actually left to motivate them at this point?
Absolutely nothing. That's the tragedy. The tank is empty.
So the team belief that forms here must be pretty toxic.
It's the most damaging one, I think. It's the final summation of the whole broken environment. It's never enough. No matter what I do, I am always wrong.
Wow.
Think about it. The system guarantees they'll struggle or fail, and then the leader confirms that it's their fault. It just crushes any remaining sense of self-worth or belief that they can make a positive difference.
Okay, the waste associated with this chain is called movimiento innecesario. Unnecessary movement. Explain that.
Unnecessary movement is basically activity completely detached from meaningful results. Busy work.
Why does that happen?
Because if you know that your actual results will always be criticized or deemed insufficient or blamed on your attitude, you stop focusing on results. Instead, you focus on demonstrating activity, being seen to be busy,
Ah, okay, so people start running around.
filling out spreadsheets that nobody reads,
Hmm.
attending meetings that have no clear purpose, writing endless reports that go into a black hole. It's all about generating evidence of effort to protect yourself from the next round of blame.
Constant motion, but going nowhere useful.
Exactly. They're moving, but not towards any meaningful purpose.
Which means the pillar affected here is purpose and sense. Propósito y sentido.
Vanished. If the goalposts are always shifting and the system is rigged against you anyway, the why behind the work just disappears. It becomes purely about survival.
And the final organizational vital sign, the ultimate outcome.
Massive hidden costs and pervasive systemic frustration. The hidden costs are all that wasted time and energy from the unnecessary movement, the rework, the waiting. It all adds up financially, even if it's not obvious on a balance sheet.
And the frustration.
Shows up as high turnover,
Yeah.
low morale, disengagement, quiet quitting, people just checking out mentally, even if they're still physically present.
So these four chains, centralization, punishment, rewarding fatigue, blame, they really do work together, don't they, to create this perfectly dysfunctional system.
It's a perfect storm, a mechanism almost elegant in its destructiveness for leadership self-sabotage.
Right, so when we put all four of those chains together, the centralization killing autonomy, the punishment freezing safety, the martyrdom burning people out, and the blame destroying purpose, it becomes crystal clear why the sources talk about the destruction of that emotional salary.
Yeah, it's a systematic assault on the very things that, modern knowledge workers actually need to do good work and feel good about it. Autonomy, safety, balance, purpose. The system attacks all four.
And those vital signs we talked about, the stagnation, the frozen innovation, the burnout, the hidden costs, they aren't just random problems popping up.
No, not at all. It's crucial to see them as the designed outcomes. Maybe unintentional, but designed nonetheless. They are the direct result of a system built to keep the leader playing that central, indispensable hero.
The system produces exactly what it was designed to produce, even if the leader thinks they designed it for something else.
Precisely. And that final, really cynical team belief we landed on, it's never enough, I am always wrong. That just locks the whole destructive cycle in place, doesn't it?
Yeah. The leader demands more effort. The system makes effective effort impossible. The leader blames the team for the lack of results, which just proves the team's belief that they can't win.
They're trapped. And the leader often is trapped too in their hero role.
So this realization, as painful as it is also the turning point, the bridge to doing things differently.
Exactly, because once you accept this diagnosis, you have to stop focusing on fixing the team. They aren't broken.
Right.
You have to start talking about fixing the structure, redesigning the system itself.
Okay. So the big shift needed then is moving away from being the hero, the person who jumps in, fixes everything, but creates dependency.
And becoming the architect.
The architect,
Yeah.
the person who designs systems, processes, structures, rules of engagement that are robust, that are self-sustaining, that work effectively without needing the leader's constant hands-on intervention.
That's the goal. The architect focuses on setting up the environment for success, defining clear goals and metrics, rather than doing the work or making every call themselves.
So it's a shift from direct control to contextual control, designing the context.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
But making this shift isn't just deciding to be different. It requires a structured approach. The source material actually lays out a pretty clear three-step blueprint for making this transition from hero to architect.
Okay, let's hear it. Step 1. I'm guessing this has to be the internal work, the mindset shift. That seems like the hardest part.
It is often the hardest, and it's absolutely step one. Redesigning beliefs of control. You can't just implement new tools or processes if, deep down, you still believe you're the only one who can do it right.
The old beliefs will just sabotage the new system.
Always. So the leader has to genuinely, fundamentally change their core beliefs. Let go of that ego attachment to being the sole provider of solutions. They have to start truly believing that the team, if given the right structure, the right support, the right safety, can actually find solutions that are just as good, maybe even better, than the ones the leader would have come up with alone.
So it's not about giving up control out of weakness or apathy. It's about exercising a higher form of competence.
Exactly. The competence of system design, not just task execution. Trusting the system you build.
Okay. So once that internal shift starts happening, or at least you're committed to it, what's step two, the practical part?
Step 2 is implementing the tactical changes. Implementing protocols of non-intervention, PNI.
P&Is, okay, what are those?
Think of them as like formalized rules or guardrails. They're systems specifically designed to stop the leader from jumping back into the operational details unnecessarily.
So they force the leader to step back.
Yes, they create space for the team to build their capability, and they actively remove the muda we talked about earlier. The leader has to use the PNI, the system, to force themselves to trust the team and let the process work. It builds new habits.
Okay, this sounds crucial. We need some concrete examples. How would a P&I actually work, say, to combat that waiting for instruction waste from chain one?
Okay, good example. A really simple but powerful PNI for that is what you could call the solutions required PNI.
Solutions required.
Okay. The rule is clear. Do not bring me a problem unless you have already thought through at least, say, 3 potential solutions. And you need to be ready to explain the pros and cons of each, including what resources they'd require.
Ah, so the team can't just dump the problem on the leader's lap.
Exactly. It immediately stops that waiting for instruction muda. It forces the team members to engage their own brains first, to analyze the situation, to exercise their autonomy.
That changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it? Instead of the leader being the sole problem solver, it becomes more like a coaching or consulting conversation.
Absolutely. The leader asks clarifying questions, helps weigh the options the team brought forward. Okay, let's take another one. How about a PNI to address chain 2, the punishment culture that kills psychological safety?
Yeah, how do you systemically stop the blame game?
You could implement a root cause analysis, RCA PNI.
RCA P&I.
The rule here might be, no failure or mistake can be discussed in terms of who was responsible until a formal RCA has been done. And that RCA must focus only on system and process flaws, not on individual blame. And maybe the RCA findings need to be signed off by 2 other team members who weren't directly involved.
So it forces the focus away from the person and onto the process.
Systematically.
Yeah.
It physically blocks the Punisher leader's instinct to just find a scapegoat. It forces the conversation to be about, how did our system allow this to happen? What process broke down? What can we fix structurally?
Okay, that makes sense. What about chain 3? Rewarding fatigue. How do you use a P&I to stop celebrating burnout?
This one requires changing how you measure success. You could use an efficiency metric PNI.
Efficiency metric, okay.
The rule becomes, when we evaluate performance or consider promotions, one of the key criteria must be a measurable demonstration of efficiency. Specifically, the ability to deliver high-quality results within standard working hours.
So you're explicitly rewarding sustainable performance, not just long hours.
Yes, you're making efficiency, not exhaustion, a visible and rewarded value. It directly counters the martyr leader's tendency to reward visible suffering, the sobre esfuerzo. It sends a clear signal to the team. Smart work is valued here, not just hard work that burns you out.
These P&Is, it sounds like they act as scaffolding. They support the leader in behaving according to their new beliefs, even when their old hero instincts are screaming at them to jump in and take over.
That's a perfect analogy, scaffolding. It's uncomfortable at first, maybe resisting those old urges, but the PNIs provide the structure to practice the new behaviors until they become natural. It's the only way to build lasting change and sustainable growth.
Okay, so step 1, redesign beliefs. Step 2, implement P&Is. What's the final step in this blueprint?
The third and final step is the ultimate objective, transforming leadership into a self-sustaining system, meaning that the PNIs, combined with the leader's genuinely shifted beliefs, eventually create an operational structure, a way of working that functions effectively, solves most of its own problems, and generates great results, without the leader needing to be personally involved in the day-to-day execution.
The system runs itself based on the principles the architect designed into it.
Exactly. The leader's focus then shifts upwards and outwards. They work on the system, not in the system. They're looking at the strategic horizon, refining the processes, coaching their people, ensuring the environment supports success, not putting out fires all day.
So the measure of success for this architect leader isn't how many problems they personally solve today.
No. The measure of success is how few problems actually needed their intervention, because the system they designed handled them smoothly and effectively at the right level.
That is a completely radical redefinition of leadership competence, isn't it?
It really is. True leadership competence isn't about being the best individual performer anymore. It's about being the best designer of a system where everyone can perform well, efficiently, and sustainably. #tag outro.
So we have really dug deep today into this uncomfortable truth.
Mhm.
If your team's struggling, if there's dysfunction, the first place to look is the leadership system, and the leader is the architect of that system.
hmm We broke down those four really specific, almost self-sabotaging causal chains.
Right. Centralization, destroying autonomy,
Punishment freezing innovation.
rewarding fatigue, leading straight to burnout.
And that final accuser's blame that just wipes out any sense of purpose.
Yeah. And the core message, the big takeaway, seems to be that real transformation, lasting change.
Yeah.
It doesn't start by trying to fix the team's attitude.
No. It starts with a really honest, almost surgical diagnosis of where the leader's own beliefs, often that unconscious need to be the hero, are actually breaking the system, creating that muda, that waste.
Until you address those root beliefs and stop, for example, rewarding exhaustion, and instead start systematically building in things like efficiency and psychological safety, the system's just going to keep churning out waste and frustration.
Exactly. The waste is baked in by design.
We've laid out that blueprint for moving from hero to architect changing beliefs using those protocols of non-intervention, PNIs.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, we want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought, something provocative maybe, to chew on this week.
We spent some time on that martyr leader, the one who rewards visible suffering, right? Equating long hours with commitment. So here's the question. If the main way commitment is defined or recognized in your current work environment is by who stays latest, what kinds of unnecessary effort, what kind of muda might you or maybe your colleagues be putting in right now purely to perform that commitment, just to look loyal?
That's a challenging question. And building on that, think about this. What if you took just one of those practical PNIs we discussed,
Yeah.
like the solutions required PNI, and you decided to apply it starting tomorrow to the single biggest recurring problem or bottleneck that wastes your time each week? That thing that always ends up back on the leader's desk, causing delays.
Yeah.
How quickly could applying that simple rule bring me solutions, not just problems? How quickly could that start to change the dynamic, to cut out that expensive waste of waiting for instruction?
It's about redesigning the interaction. The ultimate point is the solution probably isn't more motivation or another pep talk.
The solution is architectural.
Solution is system design, better architecture.